Well, hello, Giants, and welcome to Healing with Shawnalee. I'm Shawnalee McDonough. I am a Reiki master teacher and intuitive coach, and I am here with Julie Westover, and really excited for her to be on here. I got to meet her in person back in January, and we went to the ultimate coaching experience, which was so beautiful and such an amazing event. I'm sure that we will talk a bit about that tonight. But Julie, she is a coach, a life coach and mentor, and I will let you go ahead and introduce yourself. So, welcome.
Thank you, Shawnalee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been a life coach for a year. It's actually like my anniversary of jumping right in, and I was in a community called Insight Coaching Community
Oh, yeah.
and met amazing coaches that are all over the world and all different styles of coaching, but we all came together and we coach for insight. So we don't actually have a niche, like we don't have like a certain client that we'll work with. Um, we just believe that you just talk to human beings and listen and uh, wait for them to find their answers is really, and hold space for them to discover their own answers. And so it's been a really fun, exciting,
Yeah.
wild journey.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. And so, what just made you pursue this path? Like, what started
Mhm.
you down this road?
So I had my own life coach that I started with about a year and a half ago. And I just wanted to learn more about like having the ability to communicate as a stepmother. I was like, kind of felt like I was just doing a pretty bad job, to be honest. Like, I just planning ahead. It was, we were getting ready for having stepchildren come visit. I call it my bonus children actually, and
Yeah.
I just felt like I needed to be more positive in a way. Just like, can I just kind of improve how I'm thinking about it and enjoy the time I have? Because I've been a stepmom for 14 years. And
Yeah.
so, anyway, I heard about life coaching. And so I reached out to someone I already knew.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And when I went in and talked with her, I realized that really this is just about me. It's not really about, um, the people in my life or the problems really. It was just how I was thinking and viewing what the problems were. So yeah, and
Mhm.
she interacted with me and said, Julie, you can do this. And so I just took one little step and kept going and learning more about it.
Oh, that's awesome. And I like honor that path of being able to, reach out to somebody and say, you know what, this is more than me. I need help, because we do get into those situations and it's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm a teenager. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. So then, sometimes life, it's just like, man, I got one hair that's way out there, but uh, you just are like, "Man, I just need something." And so I love how you also mentioned that it's within us and how we're viewing things, and that you were able to learn from that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I could share that, you went to the Ultimate Experience in January here in Phoenix. So my life coach, Shawnee, she came and,
Oh,
her big thing that she will push clients towards is something that you're really uncomfortable with. And she's like, where you feel discomfort is where your growth will happen. And so
mm,
honestly, tonight doing this show, I'm like, okay, it's
yeah.
something that I would be like, yeah, I don't know about this, but there's growth there and there's an opportunity to serve people. And so that's like my why. Why would I do the Ultimate Experience in January and get up and speak? It's because there's a reason and there's something I can share. And it could have value for different people. So until I try it and move into the discomfort, then I would never know. I wouldn't know what's on the other side of it. Yeah. So
Totally. Yeah. Because those fears could keep people back their entire life, different things. And then that just becomes one of your limitations and the things that you can't do because you're not willing to move past that.
right,
And
absolutely.
yeah. And so what made me connect with you is like a story that you shared up on stage, and I got to see you and you were just shining so bright, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she's such a sweet soul. And I love that even in your profile you mentioned that you connect with people through kindness, and that really shows, and that's really who you are.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I know we connected over the phone too because I wanted to learn. I'm trying to remember that I was asking people to share things, and I'm drawing a blank right now.
I know it's been a minute. I think we did a few
Oh,
times. Um, oh, she conquered Hugh. He asked, did you surrender or conquer the situation? She conquered that situation up on stage.
yeah, I had a little help from some friends to steal from the Beatles. Having Judy and
Yeah.
Alex Dumas and Xavier, and knowing they were going to do the same thing. They were going to
Yeah.
go up there and talk and share a part of themselves that is vulnerable. And I'm like, I know they can do this. And so, okay, I think I can, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
You asked a few questions sometimes, like you get other coaches involved.
yeah.
And I really love that about you too, is because it's not just like about you and about you just getting all the clients, like you really help be a leader for other coaches as well. And there's a few times that you've reached out and just said, hey, what do you think coaching is? And then
Mhm. Yeah.
everyone reply about what coaching is. And then
Yeah.
I can't remember what we
Right.
connected about either, but we talked for quite some time.
No, and I guess I can say, what I learned because of posting several different things is I've learned that people are so willing to really tell a truth about themselves. When they give an answer, it's really about what they value and what, like I'm so surprised and so happy to know that people are willing. I mean, social media, there's a lot of negative, and that people are willing to really share straight from their heart, what they're really feeling in that moment, and to not reserve, like, oh, I shouldn't say this. They're like, I'm going to go ahead and say what I really believe. And there was someone from high school, we've just had a high school reunion.
Oh,
It's a lot of years
congratulations.
ago that I graduated, and
Yeah.
and one of the responses was from someone, and I know we've lost a couple of our classmates, and he's like, at this point in life, he's like, just treating people kindly and treating people with total respect and not like worrying about what's in it for me. That is what he values the most.
Mhm.
And I was so touched by that, that people are willing to just, it's like they're sharing their own wisdom in just a few sentences. And I don't know, I've learned so much from that. So I love when people like you respond. I love it because it's such it's the way we heal. It's the give and the take of, I have a question and somebody else, their answers can cause me to feel something different or see it differently. And
Mm.
so I believe that's just what our human connections are really all for, the
Yeah.
the value we have.
Mm. Totally. It reminded me for a moment this what you did, putting yourself out there, reaching out to other people, seeing what everyone else thought too. Is Jim Rohn would always say to take a mentor for a cup of coffee. so that you could go and learn from them. And this is the form in social media, is
Mm.
with other people, and it's a way to connect. Like, what happened in the world, everybody was sent home, they lost that connection, they lost that individual one-on-one time. I was in a cubicle environment, so having people around me all the time, and then you were sent home, and then it was just you by yourself. And well, I had the kids,
Mhm.
but then there was that lockdown, so locking people
Yeah.
away from that human connection. And really, what people are starving for is that human connection, and somebody to take the time to listen to them, or to let them know that they're not alone in this world. And so that makes a huge difference with people, is just
Yes.
having somebody to listen to. So I love
Yes.
that.
So I have a curious question for you. Do you
Yeah.
think after the pandemic that
Mhm.
people are valuing their connections more? Their time when they gather? Like,
I would think so.
yeah.
Um, because you don't want to take it for granted. And maybe that was like a wake up
Mm.
call for most. And if they
Yeah.
didn't grasp it um, then they
Mhm.
will, eventually they will.
Yeah.
Is That's, I think, what I've seen from most of the pandemic was most
Mhm.
everyone valued that human connection and interaction with other people. And
Right.
yeah,
Right. I know my kids were finally excited. We get to go to see a movie, just,
yes,
you used to like, okay, whatever, we're gonna go see a movie. And now it's, we get to
yeah,
go and you don't have to sit 6 feet apart, it's okay. Can be human again. And so
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. Just even holding a door for someone or being kind to someone. I think there was a study that was done, I read, that
Mhm.
you holding a door for someone or saying a kind compliment to someone, that actually has like a 50% difference on how the rest of their day goes. For the
Oh,
people that stay home, or like say don't go out of the office and just eat at their desk, don't interact with people, it actually
mm,
has a different effect on their well-being. And so then they're less likely to work harder, or get things done. That's when they're likely to let that depression sink in. And so
yeah, yeah, that's so true. I actually talking about like gratitude and expressing that. There's this really fun video about they did this experiment. They brought people in and they asked them how they were feeling, what kind of mood they had. And then they asked them to think about someone they had gratitude for in their lives. And then they said, okay, write it down. Why are you grateful for that person? And then they took it one step farther to take action. They said, now we want you to call that person and tell them, like, literally read this letter. And it was fascinating that their gratitude expression is what boosted their moods the most. And there were a couple of people that couldn't do that because one, he said it was his teacher when he was in kindergarten, and that teacher had passed away already. So he couldn't, tell that teacher. So they went back and saw that the moods increased the most with the people that were able to express, to actually speak. I'm grateful for you because, and like their moods increased like 20 points higher or 20% higher. But anyway, so that's something I do as a coach also is I lead, we call them share shops at the agency that I work for. We do Zoom cohorts and we do in person. And so coming up, I'm going to do one, and it's cupcakes and gratitude. And because I do cake decorating. So I thought, it's summertime. It'll be fun to gather. And we're going to do different techniques of cupcakes. And then we're going to talk about exactly that idea of think of someone you're grateful for and then express that to them. And we're going to take action. Um,
I love
and what
that.
I kind of relate it to the fact that, you know, life can be really good, but when you add gratitude, it's like the sprinkles on top. It's like the extra. And anyway, so that's the thing. I get to just do a lot of creative activities with clients, and we just started meeting in person again. April, I think it was around like April 1st. We opened a new office. So,
That's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
And makes a difference in their life to be able to meet in person.
Yeah.
Like Zoom is one thing, but then meeting in person is totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something about greeting someone and giving them a hug. If they're open to have a hug, there's seeing their movements and just like, in 3D, right? And seeing, everything about them. And yeah, it's really a really great thing. And I still love having my clients on Zoom too. It's like,
totally.
Just, I mean, I already have established clients and they are just, they're just working through a lot. So can I share a little of my background? Like I have a degree in psychology and sociology. So when I started college, it was kind of a competing desire. It was like, I love studying about human behavior, but sociologists, like my first professor said, a sociologist actually takes action where the psychologists keep researching it. Let's keep thinking and doing testing. And he's like, but the sociologist actually goes out and they're like amongst the people and doing things. So I was like, I love both. And so I did both degrees. And then I got married, had kids, and realized how much my education helped me to be a mom. So because learning about culture and different people just opened up my eyes to there's so many different ways of being a parent. There's so many different ways of problem solving and dealing with change and stress.
And tell me how those two mix together with you, as you were talking about parenting and then coaching and the taking action part.
I think I'm a much better parent now that I've learned about coaching, for sure. I can't turn back the clock. So I'll just say right now, like my son just got married. So it was like my son got married in January, the first week. And then 3 weeks later, I was at the Ultimate Experience and I was really emotional when my son got married. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a big deal. And all these emotions of like my first child, my little boy, getting married and making his own life, his own family, having a woman that he loves so dearly. And they're so cute together. They are just, they're fun. They're so fun. And I'll tell you what helped me is to stand back and to not feel like it was about me in any way. Like my son choosing someone to marry, the way that they got married, they went to the temple and then they had a ring ceremony. And I told my mom that, like, they're going to do a ring ceremony. They're going to honor her culture. She has a dad from Mexico. She has tattoos. She has her own style. Cool. I'm like, let's celebrate everything that's unique about each person that's coming together in this marriage. But when I mentioned it to my mom, they're going to do a ring ceremony. What? What? Really? Why? Oh, because that's what they want. Like it really helps me to center on happiness really lies in doing what you really, really want. What you really find is your true calling or your true desires. And I think for a long time, I was living for other people's ideals, and just like even college, like, oh, you have to finish and get that degree. And there's a point where I questioned, well, why am I doing this again? Am I doing it to say, hey, guess what, Dad, I got my degree, or guess what, to announce that. So I think as a mom, it's been really good to reflect to my children what they want and honor what they want.
Oh, I love that. And then also honoring, like, both sides. It's not just one, or, where a lot of it is like, nope, but this is the way that it has to be. We can't do
Yeah.
that. And that you got to honor both, because I think that's important. And you're already starting out to in creating harmony and allowing for that path to start within that marriage. So I think that's really beautiful.
Thank you. I saw
Yeah.
Alex hop on. I
Yeah.
actually shared the video with him of because we videoed my son's wedding and the ring ceremony part. And anyway, it's just so cool to have that experience of watching my son and I don't know, just I don't know, Alex told me that it made his wife cry. He's like, "Good job. My wife's crying,"
Yeah.
just because like they were exchanging vows, which it's not the typical thing. Um, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and usually it's the temple, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful, but it's very simple. And so just hearing them voice to each other how much they loved each other was like, I don't know, it just you want to freeze that moment in time, you know? Oh, Alex
Yeah.
says she has seasonal allergies.
Rubbing your eyes because you
Ew,
were crying.
I do
You
too,
were
so
getting
bad.
emotional. Yeah.
Yeah, but so yeah, so and and the healing journey also
Yeah.
is such an integral part of being just being a human being. It's not even really as a parent, it's just there's a saying everybody's talking about that hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
You've heard that, and
Yeah.
so I would apply that to when you're doing the work of healing, then people don't have to keep the pattern of hurting other people. They don't have to,
Yeah.
have rage that spills out onto everybody else. I used to be a very angry driver, like mad, like really.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say it was worse in Utah, but anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Totally.
um,
I'm in Utah, so I
I know.
can totally tell you.
Yeah. I don't know. But I mean, when I had my little children, like someone cut me off, I'm like, don't they know? Like my child could, it's just whatever. It would make me so frenzied. And then honestly, when I started coaching, there's a coach that's in Hawaii, and she talked about how you have like one lane to drive in sometimes. And how did she cope with she'd get behind someone and they were going like 15 miles per hour. And
Wow.
she's like, wait, I have somewhere to get and I got to get there. And her mind shift was like she shifted what she was thinking about because she started to think about the other person more. And that was all it took. What if that person is, really new in this area and they're really taking in the sights of Hawaii? Why would they want to go fast? And okay, maybe I I can take in the sights right now and take my time, and it's okay. So, yeah, I've become a much calmer driver for sure. I still don't like when it gets really high traffic and 115, but
Yeah,
that's
totally.
okay.
That just kind of brought it first circle with like how we started this, and really it's your perception of what's going on and how you're taking it and viewing it, and then also helping other people with that and being able to point that out, and
Right.
like I said, holding space for people and allowing them to be able to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mentioned I don't have like just like Alex, he's in the same community as I am.
Yeah.
We don't have a niche. We don't have like I'm going to coach women who have gone through abusive relationships and gotten divorced and had suicide, surviving suicide. Those are parts of my life. And then I also do a lot of studying of dreams. Now, I don't seek those clients, but what's interesting is that I have had clients then share, I had this really wild dream or this
Yeah.
really intense dream, or I don't know. And I'm like, okay, if you're willing, just tell me about it. And I had a mentor right before I got married, I was 22, living in Salt Lake City, and I volunteered at a children's advocacy summit at the University of Utah. Such a wonderful experience, and it set my life in a different direction because I met a social worker that was a speaker.
Yeah.
And I asked, "Can I help you when you're, giving this workshop and speaking?" And she's like, "Sure, I just need water." Okay, so just for the cost of bringing in some bottles of water, I got to hear, because it was like a $400 conference for 2 days. And she's like, "We waive the fee if you just show up and help out." And so, yeah, I was there and I heard her talk about dreams and imagery and symbols. And it just blew my mind because I had always been curious about, why do we spend so much time sleeping and having dreams if there's no reason for it?
Yeah.
There's like nothing, like no purpose. So I learned so much from her, and I just messaged her earlier today and let her know that I'm going to mention that, the dream work that she taught me, that I continue to find a way to serve people, I guess is a good way to put it. And I don't know, some people think it's maybe, in fact, I can say most of like my siblings and my husband and my ex-husband, they don't really appreciate so much.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
My-
I actually have one sister that loves dreams, and so she's one
Yeah.
that I can put to. But I'll tell you, with my ex-husband, he didn't like it because I would dream about something and I'd be like really bold and say, "Did this happen? Like,
Mm.
did
Mhm.
you do something and you forgot to mention this to me?" And he's like, what?" And he was
Yeah.
like, "I don't know. I don't really like you having these dreams." So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but that's something that I have found. It's just wild that I'll hear someone talk about a dream, and um, I find there's some common themes that people dream about, and and I think a big part of it is that it is a way to release
Oh,
the
yeah.
built up fears. And then you have this horrendous dream, a nightmare. And like my children too, one of my favorite questions as a mom has been, "Tell me more about your dream. I want to hear more about it." Hi, Ariel.
Hello.
I know she's a dreamer. I know she has big dreams. So I'm glad she's here. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
so
you
I don't know
help
if you
your
know.
kids through their dreams too? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I talk to them about their dreams, and um, I have written down, in fact, I have a baby journal for my first child where I kept it until he was about 3. And right about that time, he was having so much dream recall that I was just reading it just the other day. And I wrote down that he would wake up and say, "Mom, I had this dream and I was a superhero and I was doing this. And I don't know
Oh,
why my brother was getting in trouble and I was trying to stop him." And just like fun, like, it can kind of sound like everyday things. But every time there was something emphasized in his dream, I was like, "What do you think about that? What is a superhero and how do you act like that sometimes? You help your brother, you protect him." And it's just so fun to see
mm.
people understand it.
I
Yeah.
love how that correlates and how you can gather that information. That sounds like some really good knowledge to be able to help people with and realize,
Yeah.
that there's those common themes. There's that being emphasized. What did this mean to you? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Do you have dream recall?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. It's because not everybody
It
does. That's,
depends. It really depends.
yeah.
I had a time in a period that everything was just so vivid and so bright, and then other times where
Mm.
it's just blank and peaceful. But I have been doing a lot of sleep meditations too, so I'm
Ah.
often astral travel.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I mean, there's so much to that. I mean, that's the thing, is not everybody is going to dream the same and have the same response to.
Yeah,
So I think that's so beautiful. I love, like, Shirley MacLaine talked about past lives before, and I'm like, it's so beautiful. I just really
yeah,
think there's some people would look at it and say, well, what is that about? That doesn't happen to me. And my response is, well, that's okay. There's a reason for that person to have their own unique experiences with, I think, for me, I asked my brother one time when I was just a kid. I mean, and this is my older brother that I've actually lost. He unfortunately got into drug use, and after having his college, 2 degrees in college, unfortunately, he succumbed to depression and overdose on drugs. And
Ooh, I'm so sorry.
but so brilliant. Like he would read Ayn Rand, like some people would read like a comic book. You know, he just was so into like a thirst for learning and knowledge. And so one time I said, "What do you think about dreams? Like they're kind of weird, aren't they? And like, does it mean anything or does it make sense?" And he just said, "Well, what if, you know, kind of like a way of saying, just here's one option. Um, it is your brain's way of working out every possibility. And so one night it could
Mm,
be a beautiful dream. Okay, do I want that? What path would I be on to get there? The next night, if it's a horrible dream and there's something scary, well, that's your another way of giving an option to you. And like what choices would lead to that?" And I would have recurring dreams a lot when I was a kid.
yeah, so would I.
It's crazy. I mean, like when I think about it now as an adult and I realize I understand better now, like what the purpose was. Like going into a room and when I was a kid in my dream state, trying to turn on a light and the light won't turn on. And then my
Mhm.
reaction in my dream is, "Oh no, what happened? Why doesn't the light work? What's going on? I'm so afraid." And it would happen again and again. And then as an adult, I realize, well, first of all, it's natural for kids to be afraid of the dark and that it's like
Yes.
unknown. And when you have a light, then it brings in comfort and it's also knowledge. And
Mm,
so it's like kind of a, I would say like all of my dream work, what it would come down to is like you don't want to stop thinking that there's no meaning to it, but just like my life coach taught me to lean into the discomfort. So, a nightmare, if you lean into it and you understand there's a purpose for what you're afraid of, then it can give you freedom, you know?
yes,
So, just,
totally.
yeah, just like facing, you know, I mean, it seems like an old cliche to just face your fear.
Yes.
Um, I don't know. Do you have any examples of that, Shawnalee, where you had something you were afraid of and you did something about it?
Well, I didn't read until I was older about that, but I'd always have this experience where I was dreaming. And Hugh, I'll get to your question in a second, or we'll get to that in just a second. But I was riding a horse and I was at my grandpa's house, and then I would always fall into this pile of glass, like shattered glass. And I'd wake up just as I fell. But as I read when I was older, just a little while ago, even, that in your dream state, you can go back. So, like if you have somebody that's chasing you, you could turn around and you know that nothing's going
Mhm.
to happen. You could do anything that you want to in that dream state. So, that's a perfect time to turn around and face that fear.
Yeah.
And so then it allows you actually in your awake state to face the fears and to face those things that um, perhaps maybe that's something like your subconscious is trying to bring to you is, oh my gosh, you have this event coming up and you're afraid. And so then what are these dreams coming about for is that fear. And
Yeah.
I do think you can have outer body experiences in astral travel and the
Yeah.
whole thing, I believe. And then Alex said, Julie Dreamcatcher, the Dreamcatcher Westover.
He's so good at coming up with nicknames.
Yes, he is. And then, does your brother visit you in your dream?
Aw,
Jessica's
thank
right
you.
here. Mhm.
Hugh, thank you so much for asking that. And I know that you've had a loss of your daughter, so that really touches me that you'd ask, and then that you're sharing that your daughter visits you. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, after I got off, sorry, when I got over the initial shock, of losing my older brother. I talked to a couple of his friends from high school, and um, one friend didn't show up at his memorial service, and that's when I had a dream about my brother. And again, I believe there's a purpose.
Yeah.
And so for me, I asked a question first. I said to my brother, his name is Steve, and I just like I would converse with anybody, I just said, Steve, I want to help. Is there something I can do? Um, is there a way I can know that friend that didn't show up? Because there was just a reference. There was one of his really dear friends that wasn't there. And
Yeah.
so some of the other friends were like, when there's a loss by suicide, there's a contagion effect. And so other of his friends would feel more vulnerable at that time when they're grieving. Like if he
Mhm.
left, maybe I should just go too. And
Okay.
what if I could have helped him? There's a lot of guilt and remorse associated with it. So I had this amazing dream. My brother, he passed away in Tempe, Arizona, and I was living in Utah. But in my dream, I was back in Tempe. And I asked him in my dream again, who is your friend that I could get in touch with? I think his first name's Tom. And in my dream, he was literally having like alphabet soup. And the letter O was literally on the tip of his tongue in my dream. I woke up from that and looked up the name Tom O, and then it came to me, and I remembered what his last name was. And I mean, how vivid and how clear. He didn't like spell out literally the whole name, but it was like, here's a clue, and now you can follow it if you choose. So, anyway, it was beautiful because I did get to, in my dream, I got to see my brother. I got to hug him. And in your dream state, you're actually feeling just all the physical senses, and I really believe it's like
I do
getting
too.
that hug again.
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, totally. I believe in parallel universes, and I know that they're not very far, right? We talk about them just being on the other side of the veil, and that they're here. They're here with you,
yeah.
and they
Yeah.
do see you, and you can talk to them. And sometimes, depending on where you're at in your life, you can get the answer back or you cannot. It just depends.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're never alone, and they're always near, and they love you just as much, and they
Yeah.
want to still be a part of your life. And so you do get those glimmers, and I love that you were able to see him too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's so, I was going to say about like healing,
Yeah.
what it really means to me is, first of all, that there's pain is part of loving, and part of like the reason I wanted healing is because of some really excruciating pain that happened. So after my older brother passed away, my little brother was roommates with him, and he felt so much guilt that he wasn't there for our older brother. I mean, um, he had worked late that day. He was My younger brother's name is Phil, and he was so concerned about, I gotta make up hours at work, and he worked overtime the day that we lost Steve. Um, so just to go back one chapter earlier in my life, is I was going through a really difficult marriage at the time, and um, I I had a lot of mentors that were helping me to navigate if I would get divorced, or being a single mom with two little boys. And I had a really intense dream at that time, and that I was like at a crypt, like a, which I don't actually ever remember going and visiting a crypt, but just like a,
Yeah.
oh, what would it be like in the old world where maybe royalty are buried, just like Shakespeare or
Oh,
something. It was
yeah.
really eerie and dark.
Mm.
And there was
Mhm.
like a crypt keeper, just standing there. And I'm like, no thanks. I don't
Yeah.
think I
No.
want to get near. I think I'll just keep my distance. So I tried to walk around. But the more I'd try to walk around, the more there were bushes and things that were in my way, besides the fact that there were big gates around. So anyway, I came to a point in this dream state where I finally just went to the crypt keeper and said, how do I get out of here? And he pointed and he said, only through. That's the only way out. And I woke up at that point because I was like, I don't want to do that right now. I'm not going to go through where there are dead people or pain or fears and whatever. Like, to me, that analogy didn't feel very good. I was like, I don't like that. So when I woke up, I wrote it down. And after losing 2 brothers, that dream ended up being a comfort because I realized that was the only way out of the loss and the pain of what my brothers experienced. And when I lost my 2 brothers, I only had my 2 sons. I chose to get a divorce after I lost my little brother. And at the time, my mom was saying, I lost my 2 sons, and now what do I have? And I was thinking, but I only have my 2 sons. Like, I don't want to ever experience that. And anyway, I remembered that dream. So that's something I would offer people is, when you're going through life and there's huge events that can happen, or it could be something small, like a best friend that moves away and you miss that best friend. It feels like a part of your heart has just gone away. And I think often, like when my little brother died, I, for a while, didn't do anything. I just unplugged. I didn't talk to anybody. I would open my door and surprisingly, all of a sudden, different religious people were coming to my door, surprisingly, and I loved it. I was like, I'll talk about love and God if you want to. Okay.
That was comfort for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, again, what Hugh asked about, like having somebody visit you in your dreams when they've passed away, I think that answers come when we're able to just, you don't totally get over pain or release all of the pain at once, but it's almost like I just needed to get over the shock at first of the loss, which I don't know if that's even the right way to say it. I needed a little space. Yeah. It's like I just needed the calendar to say, you've survived for 3 months. Okay, you did it. You survived for 3 months. And I use that with clients and I use that with friends. I have a friend that lost her baby. It was SIDS. And I told her also, as we've just spoken for a couple of minutes, you've just been breathing for a couple of more minutes. So you've survived that much longer. And you can keep doing that, just taking a breath. Yeah.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing all of that with me and with us. And, being vulnerable that's really actually a strength, is to be able to share your heart and share something so painful and know that they're still there with you. And like, that was kind of a blessing that your brother wasn't home. I think it was kind of divine inspiration, right?
Yeah.
And to not be there when that happened, and losing them both, like, such a hard loss. And I've known many people who have lost both their children and they still go to the grave sites every day. And one thing too, for people who are mourning, it doesn't have to look at one certain way. There's not one certain time that you wake up and you're like, there's many different stages to grief, and you could be fine. And one of the 3 topics nobody wants to talk about or discuss. Yeah. So I appreciate you.
So
and then
true.
More in the death or celebrating life. I've chosen the celebrative life, and you are the echo of that, is celebrating their life. And you may not have your sons, but you're like, Mom, you have me and you have your grandsons and you have yourself. Like, you are your purpose.
Yeah. And like I mentioned about dreams and how it kind of, to me, it's almost like a fabric of life where things just keep getting interwoven into, like, okay, the dream that my son had that I just read in the baby journal, that he was like, I'm like a superhero, I'm going to help my brother. The
Yeah.
day when my little brother passed away and I broke the news to that child that he was just turned 6 years old, his response was, oh, I wish I had superpowers, Mom. I would bring him back. So, and in the moment I just stopped, but looking back again, it's like, it's just beautiful. I mean, he loved my brother. I love that there's the memory now of having that time. Alex is saying a fun fact. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love that, Alex. He jumped the gender of both of his children, so you didn't really have to have the ultrasound then.
Yeah, totally. That wasn't a surprise for you. For me, it was. I was with my last son, well, with any of them, I didn't really know, and I wasn't planning on having kids. I wasn't supposed to have kids, but with my last one, I was 6 months along and went in, and he's like, so you are pregnant and you're 6 months and you're having a boy. I found that all out in one day. And
Oh my gosh.
so that would be nice to know beforehand. But I got to know 3 months before I had my son that I was actually pregnant, and I had been feeling good and I was losing a ton of weight. And so for me, I was just like, heck, I don't know what's going on, but something's working, and I was pregnant.
That's incredible. I hear about people in the news that have that experience. They're like, I was just not sure. So I went and got, a doctor's appointment, and they say I'm pregnant. And they're like, I'm like, wow.
I know.
Good for you. You were doing things to support your health, and then your body was ready for another baby. That's so cool.
Well, I love thank you so much. And I love the dream work and how you've made that a part of your coaching and how you can help people through that. And those people are automatically magnetized to you. Like, I don't think that there's any coincidences in life. Like, they're drawn to you for a reason. And these experiences that you've been through have just aided and assisted you to be able to help people with. And so sometimes we think like these trials that we go through in our life are not just heartbreaking, but that we won't ever get over. And like, what's the point? And you develop such a wealth of knowledge through that, and pain. In order to have pain, you have to have pain in order to be able to experience pleasure and to experience love. And with the loss, you now experience also having. And so that time that you spent with them was precious, and that life is precious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm going to share really quick.
I was going to just say you had a few other things. What's that?
Can you see it? Oh wait, sorry, the camera's
Yes,
safe passage. So this is really, really well loved. I've read this so many times. My mentor she helped me with understanding dream work, Sally Bergen, she sent this to me when I lost my little brother.
Oh, really?
And it's really short passages on each page. And so sometimes if it resonated with me, I'd write a note to myself, because that's one thing I learned is if grief just stays stuck, it needs to have a voice. And so I would write notes to myself. It just really, I wrote something about dreams actually, that in my dreams I feel grace, and then I can see, because if you're thinking about how everybody loves to go to movies because they see something projected out in front of them, and then they can take in all the sights and the feelings and the mood. So what I wrote was that I realize when I can see you, and I see, like, I hug him and experience saying hello to him, and just the realization of, wait, how are you actually here, and hugging him, and then it gave me the vision of also how much I do love him and how much it means to me, to have, I don't know, I have 8 siblings and I used to complain like, oh, there's 5 brothers. Like it was such a, just when you're, whatever, you'd go to the dinner table and it's like, okay, my brothers were here before me and there's not much food left and whatever, and then just realizing with grief, you wouldn't grieve somebody if you didn't love them so deeply. So, yeah, for sure. Also, going through grief, it builds resilience too. Just like any difficult experience, you can go through it and you can grow through it. Yeah.
Do you feel more connected in your grief?
More connected with my brothers and more connected with other humans. I do. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. I've actually thought often about a line from Jane Austen. She has a character in Pride and Prejudice. It's the mother, and she's just like always talking, and she's like, my nerves are getting to me. And her husband says, yeah, your nerves have been my companion for the last 20 some years. And it's a joke in Jane Austen, but I think about it and I think about how grief can be like a companion, and it really can really hurt and break your spirit if that's all you're focusing on. But just like Hugh has brought up, and also you, Shawnalee, have brought up that when you celebrate relationships and also the good that comes from it, I mean, it's surprising that it can happen, that it feels like it's the end when you say goodbye and someone's passed away. But it's also a new beginning for learning that we really all are connected as human beings. We're all connected through, different beliefs. There's all different cultural beliefs about death, and all big events in life. There's different ways to celebrate and different ways to mourn, and they all have value. So I just, again, with my sociology background, just learning how people would ask somebody to be like a public mourner at funerals. And so somebody, like, they wail and they thrash and they cry. And I mean, that doesn't happen in America. We don't have somebody that we pay to do that. But to me, it's like validation for there's a reason to have the feelings we do.
Yeah. And like you mentioned before, not stuffing those down, like really feeling the feelings, allowing that to come up and be present with them and feel it in order to heal them. And when we don't, that's when disease comes into the body. That's when you start to really, your thoughts have an effect on your physical being. And so being able to be present with them and just feel them. Doesn't mean to live there and to then go in your mind, like when you get stuck in your mind and replay. And that's not a good path to go down. But just being present and giving yourself grace. And like I said, doesn't need to look any certain way. And knowing that you can. We had another thing that said, I had a companion for over 8 years. Then I was given a beautiful spiritual gift that freed me to move on.
She had that, like the grief, right? Good for you. And she's someone right now that definitely is reaching out to a lot of people to have conversations to make a shift in their life. And just her healing offers healing to other people. She came and stayed here because I met her also at the Ultimate Experience, and so she got to come stay in Phoenix, and she made the most delicious, yummy dish that we all enjoyed in our home. And so again, that's the beautiful side of people go through some tragedies in their lives, and I don't know, what's left though is like I feel like my life continues to pay tribute to my brothers. That's really like, how else would I want to live? And knowing that,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, Ireel, you're my family. Yes.
And you were so sorry. You were saying that you pay tribute to your brothers, and that's how
Yeah.
you express your life is
Yeah.
by who you're being.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of a funny cliche again. Like, I grew up watching Star Wars because my brothers were such big fans, and it was like, okay, this weekend, that's all we're going to watch. We're going to just keep watching Star
Yes,
Wars.
I like that.
And, because of the pattern of the Jedi Force, when one exits, or, I'm
Yeah.
not sure what they call it. Like, they don't really say he's died, but when that cycle completes for that Jedi, their power adds to the Force, and they
Mm.
continue to give light and energy to the other Jedi, and people. So when my brothers passed away, I got to a point, I mean, for a while, I didn't even want to think about if there's something positive, but definitely watching my kids grow up, I know that their uncles are like, you guys are going to get through this. Times we'd go
Yeah.
to the hospital at the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
that was so hard. How did we get through that? Oh,
Yeah.
my brother was holding my son, because that's something, I mean, just they knew their uncles, and why wouldn't they be there?
Exactly.
They're like, they don't have the constraints of time and space. So if they want to be there today and at midnight and tomorrow and all the time, then they're going to keep loving and supporting us. So,
Yeah. I definitely believe that there are angels. I
yes.
had a miscarriage in between my two kids, and she's one of my guardian angels. She didn't get to be born in this life, but she's still connected to me. I got to name her, and
Aw,
I named her Rochelle Noel April. And the next day she came to me and she said, Mom, that's not my name. My name is Anna. It's still
aw,
Anna Noel April, but my name is Anna,
aw.
and I'm your guardian angel. And
That's
so
so sweet. Wow.
they're here and they still help us, and we still get to learn. And I think you also get to relearn some of those happy memories because you're still getting to know that person even though they're gone. But then you can recall upon those experiences that you've had with that person and relive like those good times, and remember, the gift, and what gift would they want you to be, what gift would they have you do, and fulfilling on that purpose, helping other people, and they would want you to be happy and enjoy life, and you can still grieve at the same time as having a wonderful experience. You can still hold them in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have that deeply held belief too, that there are angels,
Hmm.
and all of my ancestors, like,
Yeah.
they really want family to, I mean, it's just like a built-in, um, like a passion, or a,
Hmm.
I don't know. To me, I'm like, that's what it all comes back to, is that we're a human family,
Yeah.
and we want to we want to keep going and keep building a future that's brighter than what our
Yeah.
ancestors had. That's what they would love, and they think about cultures like in Africa, that different tribes of people, and how they were snuffed out and forgotten, and
Hmm.
yet there's family. They have their, I'm trying to think of the name. Not It's not progenitors. Do you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
uh, they want to keep handing to the next
Yeah.
generation the good part of their lives. So anyway, I feel like I'm going into so many different areas.
That's okay. I just kind of follow wherever, spirit wants to take us, and
uh,
wherever it's led. And
it's kind of like grief, actually. It's like
yeah.
a journey that I would never have expected, that I would ever even share publicly, even saying the word suicide, like sharing anything publicly, to me, at the time when these events happened, I thought would make it harder.
Yeah.
Um, and and also the idea that it might suggest to somebody else that, um, like they say, the power of suggestion. So if you're talking about something
Yeah.
that's really hard and difficult, then will that person be like, yeah, life is really hard and difficult, but actually it's not that case. The more I hear people share, like you've just shared
Yeah.
something very vulnerable about miscarriage, and the more that people are willing to share their parts of their lives that are difficult, and then look, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's a living testament that we're meant to get through times. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I don't I'm at a point of life where I don't understand why there's anybody hating another human being for any reason.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if I would have arrived here if I hadn't been there before in the past. So I don't know, it's like my deepest, darkest times have led to the best, the best times, or I
Yeah.
kind of like get to see, you know what I'm saying? The light at the end of the tunnel, but actually it was there in the tunnel. The light was always it was always
Yeah.
there.
Is
Just
there? Ooh, I love that. I
yeah.
love that. And to me, like these types of shows and talking about it and expressing it and being vulnerable, like that brings healing, and we all need it. And I'm kind of biased, but I do think the media has an agenda, right? They get
Mm,
paid, they make money off of selling things. And to me, that's not where I want to put my energy and my focus and my time in, because those are not my beliefs. And so I do think like talking about suicide, like there's no shame of going through that experience. Like it's very vulnerable, and there's other people out there who may have needed to hear that and think,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm the only one, and oh my gosh, I'm so alone. And it helps people know that they're not alone, and that it is a hard experience. It's a tough thing to go through, to lose someone, and that there's love still on the other side of that. And oh, I love this. It says, very true that going through the darkness brings us into the light.
Yeah.
So true. Um, was
Yes.
there anything else that you wanted to cover that we didn't talk about?
I just feel like there's one
Yeah.
tribute I want to share is music, and
Yes.
how okay, so even Steve Hardison, there's something about I mean,
Yeah.
I'm referencing him as if the whole world knows him. I would like the whole world to know him, because like hearing music and just being totally who you want to be, authentic and genuine. That's what my two brothers that I've lost, I find them again because I will put on music that they loved. My older brother's a drummer, and my younger brother's a dancer. So my
Mm,
older brother, Sunday morning, he'd be banging on drums, and I used to be like, "Why?" But now I'll put on like Rush or Yes.
yes.
Oh my gosh, even Bon Jovi. Like just hearing bands that he would play along with, and the messages that are in that music. And then my little brother would dance, and he would dance to like hip hop, and just so much life
Mm,
comes back because I'll turn on a song and I can't help it. Like I have to dance, I have to move, I have to um, celebrate life. And those are also moments where I recognize my brothers are like, good for you. You're doing it. You're going to survive this. And
mm,
I
yeah.
just, I don't think there's anything more important than um, being authentic and
Yeah.
showing, just showing other people. Like one of the reasons I married my husband is he will dance in the middle of Walmart. I
Oh,
still
I
think
love
it's kind of weird. I still
that.
kind of go, oh, yeah, he does that. But I mean, if he hears a good song, he doesn't hold back.
You know what?
And so
Who cares what people think, right?
I I know. So, and my daughter does it too. I'm like, "Yay, you inherited from your dad. He'll,
Yes,
he'll this." Yeah.
bravery.
Yeah. Yeah. She's just like,
Um,
"Why not?"
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And music is so healing. Like it could change your mood completely. You can be in the dumps, and that could be something that livens your spirits. And like you said, it can help share a memory.
Yeah.
Ariel, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
yes,
what people
a
say.
man she was in a relationship with that she had loved from high school. If I'm remembering that, I real so she had known him like since teenage, like that
Mm,
kind of, the guy at school you fall in love with, and then later in life, he took his life.
mm. My sister went
I
through a similar experience. Yeah.
Oh, really? Where she loved a man and he took it. Yeah, men are
Yeah.
unfortunately they complete suicide more than women do. Women
Yeah.
attempt, but yeah. And there's something else I wanted to say about music, but it's okay. Um, it's kind of gone anyway because I saw Ireel's comment.
It could
Yeah,
be
is there
good.
anything else you wanted to talk about or?
Yeah. He said, farewell to kings. They gave their life back to their creator. Um, there's a different guy from high school that died in
Oh, okay. A
2019.
different Okay.
Mm. Know that you're not alone. And yeah, like the music, it can sway your mood. It could change it. It could bring back that gratitude. Those different things that you had mentioned, like how you help people come back into gratitude, being thankful. You can look at those experiences that you went through, those different difficult times in life, and remind you, like, oh my gosh, I was so lucky. I got to get through this, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
helps brighten life again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if there's one final note, I would say from reading this book, Safe Passage, I think
Yeah.
sometimes it's not really about this exact book or one
Yeah.
exact person. It's the energy that was given to me that my friend thought about me and sent me this book. And within the pages, it really says if you give voice to what is hurting, then it can burst into a new song.
Mm.
So if I were to, share with someone um, who's facing a loss right now, I would say, then give voice to it. Just say what it is. And even if the voice is because you're yelling or screaming about it, break a
Yeah.
dish. There's something about like the Chinese method is movement. Where you move, you heal. And if it's stagnant, it like you were mentioning, like it becomes a diseased state. It's no comfort is entering that energy. So, gosh, I mean, I definitely hit a pillow or, just moving the energy of what you're dealing with.
Yeah. One of my mentors said, just scream in your car. I don't
Mm,
care. Like, yell it.
yeah,
It lets that emotion go. Even like, oh my gosh, this is not fair, and just screaming, because then it has a path to escape. That energy wants to move.
yeah,
And whether it's something like, oh my gosh, I want this, or what in the heck were you thinking? Like, oh my gosh. But it helps
yeah,
that move through. And it's kind of, we've had a lot of parallels in this conversation today. You started the conversation out about fear and moving
mm,
through it and finding yourself outside of your comfort zone. That, and then we just had that parallel here where, allowing yourself to move forward and to go through. So I have loved this so much.
yes,
Don't be
thank
strong
you.
for anyone else. Let it go. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
thank you. Very wise. Yeah,
Yeah. And that you're okay to feel your feelings, and you're okay to be you, like whoever you are and who needed
yeah,
this message tonight. I think that these are always divinely guided and inspired, and they reach whomever that they need to reach, whether it's now or you're watching this on a replay later, that you're not alone and you're cherished and you're needed in this world. And there's only one of you, and there can never be a recreation of you, even if they do cloning or things like that in the future, right? We see in the movies, there's always only one of you, and you're not alone. Sometimes we think that too. And so, like Julie said, go out, get a coach, go get a mentor, somebody to hold space and to help hold you accountable, to help, hold you in love, because really it's love.
Yeah. And in the midnight hour, really, there are angels. Like, I mean, I know not everybody has a religious background, but if it's not angels, it's universe or energy. And language allows us to be free and to say what we need and to say it, to say, I really need to cry, or I need to not feel alone right now. And it's okay to speak that and believe in it. Yeah. Because I mean, there's a spark there when you start to believe in something. And then when you just either write it down or speak it, like affirmations have saved me many times too. And my favorite is from Louise Hay. I keep saying as a final, but for real, final. Louise Hay, she says, I am in the infinity of time and all is whole and complete right now. And how many times I would say that I am in the infinity of time and all is well and complete. And that is kind of like just you hold that and you can get through.
Yeah. Totally. And she is such a good reference. I reference her quite often when I take on a new coaching client or any of my Reiki clients. I send them the mirror workbook, and looking at yourself in the mirror and looking into your own eyes. There is something that is just so transformative, is when you and your soul sees you, and it helps you to overcome and heal. And just her of healing yourself and loving yourself, because in order to love yourself, you're the first relationship you have. And so then that helps you to love people even more. My brother just passed away, and feelings are our human connection conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah. It's so true. Feelings will transcend, like even language, if somebody doesn't speak your language, but you feel. And I think what Iril is referencing too is the feeling that the person you love really isn't gone. They've passed into a place that we don't see them, but they're still there. They exist. It's just stardust and twinkles and it still matters. It makes me appreciate the universe more. So I love that. I love all the comments that people have shared. And
yes, thank you everyone that come on.
That's so awesome. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you. I love where this went, and that you're not alone. And I put in the show notes her website, so if you would like to go out and reach Julie, also you could catch her on Facebook. You can catch her in the Ultimate Coaching group, and
that's a great place too.
Yes.
If anybody is feeling alone, just say I feel alone, and people will respond in the Ultimate Coach Facebook group, and there's a lot of service that happens that way. So it's great. Thank you for having me tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And, thank you everyone for joining. I hope you have a good night.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.